Many medical schools are now adopting the MMI or multiple mini interview, where instead of sitting down one-on-one with faculty members, you now have to go through a variety of stations and conduct quote-unquote mini interviews. In this video, I'll be sharing my experience with the MMI and how I prepared for my MMI, and also be sharing some tips on how you can tackle this very daunting interview style. Let's get started. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to my channel, and thank you for clicking on this video. For those who may be new to my channel, my name is Terence, and I'm a first-year medical student. If you're new, make sure you subscribe and like the video if you enjoy these videos. I'll be putting out weekly videos just like this every single week, so make sure you come along for the journey. Out of the 10 interviews that I attended during my medical school application cycle, 2 of them were MMIs, and I want to bring you through my experience in this video. Like many of you may be feeling, I was pretty nervous and pretty uncertain about the whole MMI process. I knew that there were certain schools that I was applying to that had the MMI style of interview, and it was definitely very daunting to me, and I felt I had to do more preparation for the MMI than I had to do for the traditional interview. Now reflecting back on it, I don't think I necessarily had to do too much more for the MMI. There are certain elements that you prepare for the MMI that you don't prepare for the traditional, and certain elements in the traditional that you don't prepare for the MMI. If you haven't seen my traditional style interview, make sure you go check that out. It will be definitely helpful, and many aspects of the traditional style interview will apply to the MMI style interview as well. So first, let's start off with preparation. First things first is your mindset. Similar to the traditional interview, you have to go in confident and you have to go in knowing your value. There's no perfect, there's no right answer. There's a wide range of correct approaches that you can take for different scenarios, different topics. But all in all, your answer is going to be dependent off of your life experiences and how you would approach things based on your personality. Let's say you're talking about a scenario where there may be a conflict, or you may have to just make a decision on, let's say, a member of your team is not necessarily working up to par and you have to confront them. If you're a confrontational person, you may approach this situation different if you're a non-confrontational person. So based on your personality and who you are, it's very important to stay true to yourself and answer the question to the best of your ability. That goes into the mindset as well, being true to yourself and understanding that you have a particular value as an individual. Your answer may be different from somebody else, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a wrong answer. The second thing, similar to the traditional interview, you have to study your application, study your personal statement, study your primary application, even study your secondary application. Having that self-awareness is very, very important. You want to be able to pull from different experiences for 2 reasons. The first reason is because some of the scenario-based questions, not all of them, but there are some scenario-based questions where you may have to validate your decision. And having different experiences and different things that you can pull from your application, or different healthcare experiences or different volunteer experiences or whatever the case may be on your application will allow you to help better validate and support your answers or support your decision making. The second reason why you want to study your application is because in certain schools they have an MMI station where you're doing a traditional interview for, let's say, 8 minutes or 15 minutes. And in those situations, you want to be prepared to be able to answer questions in a traditional interview style. So knowing your application, studying your application like you would in a traditional style interview will be very, very beneficial for certain cases and certain scenarios where you go to certain schools and one of the stations of the MMI is actually a traditional style interview. The third thing when it comes to preparing for your MMI is to practice. Some people say that you've been preparing for your MMI since the day you were born with certain ethical situations and moral questions and scenario-based things. That's very, very true, but it's important to be able to get your thoughts out and be prepared for the situation. It's impossible to go through every scenario that's online. I've seen such things that are like 300 different MMI type scenarios. It's impossible to go through every single one. But it's important to go through that practice so that you're at least comfortable in certain scenarios. You're comfortable with getting certain prompts and being able to answer them on the fly. So having that practice definitely helps. Similar to the traditional style interview, record yourself. There are certain scenarios where you may go in, let's say it's 6 minutes, you have to talk. They may interact with you for 6 minutes. They may ask you follow-up questions for 6 minutes, or it might just be you speaking yourself and explaining yourself for 6 minutes. I had a variety of both, and it's important to be prepared for whatever you may see. Most times when you get in there, you'll introduce yourself, shake the person's hand, sit down, and then they'll just say, so what'd you think? Or, okay, what'd you think? Tell me what you think. And it's in your responsibility now to start the conversation and elaborate on your thoughts. That goes into another thing as far as preparation. If you're somebody that's very succinct with your answers and you're somebody that's very short spoken, be sure to be able to practice. Be sure to practice elaborating on your thoughts, elaborate on your thought process, be able to practice thinking out loud and effectively think out loud. Let's say you have a scenario where they say, who would you give the medicine to, this person or this person? Be able to think out loud. They may not necessarily answer any questions that you ask them. So it's important to be able to think out questions in your head. Why would you give this person a drug to this person? Well, what are their scenario? Do they have a support system? Do they have X? Do they have Y, Z? What's their history? Same thing for the other person. Being able to ask yourself those questions and then answer them out loud is a skill. And being able to, and by practicing that and by preparing properly, you could craft that skill over time. You could look up prompts, you could watch YouTube videos like this. There are other YouTube videos that I've watched personally that helped me understand what a good answer to an MMI question is, what's a good elaborate thought when it comes to MMI questions. So do your research and do your thorough research as far as preparation as well. The last thing I'll talk about when it comes to preparation is knowing the laws in your state when it comes to major topics like abortion, for a minor, doctor-assisted suicide, euthanasia, knowing the difference between the two, maybe medical marijuana, different things like that, understanding the situation of the specific state that you're interviewing at, and also the national, states and regulations as far as those different laws, as far as ethics, morals, and different scenarios like that. Those things could help you, again, validate your responses and give you a more well-supported answer when it comes to answering those scenario-based questions. So the next thing is how I personally answered MMI style questions. I want to expand on this a little bit more. With my MMI style questions, I always looked at it as this. You don't always have a yes or no. Not every question should be a yes or no. That's why they're there. They're asking you to expand within 6 to 8 minutes on your thoughts. Not every answer is black or white. You're supposed to be answering, in my personal opinion, in the gray. You're supposed to understand things from both sides. You're supposed to understand perspectives from both sides. You want to be versatile. You don't want to just give a direct answer. What do you think about, if they ask you, what do you think about this specific topic, specific scenario, specific ethical dilemma? You don't want to just say, I would just do this, I would just do that. You want to say how you would see things from this side and see that side's perspective, how you would see things from this side and that side's perspective, and then where you fall in that spectrum. It should be a 3-layered answer, and that's what I tried to do. I tried to give a 3-layered answer to everything. I tried to show that I was neutral in most scenarios, or even if I was on one side of the fence, I showed that I could see things from both sides. And I think that's a very valuable trait that a lot of schools are looking for. They want somebody that can see things from both sides and make sound decisions at the end of the day. I also made sure to be honest and truthful in my answers. I didn't try to really make up something or veer off course of something that I would personally do, because I want to stay sound in my decision making. If somebody were to doubt my decision making, I want to show that I am sound in my decision and I thought it through, and it's something that I stand on. I stand on my decisions, and I'm honest with my approaches. The next thing is, don't get thrown off by the character. Something I personally experienced was sometimes people will be in characters, they'll be very, very stern, and you not necessarily know if you're giving a right answer or the wrong answer. You might feel really lost. You might feel really confused, uncertain. There was one case scenario where I went in, she was very, very stern. Then at the end, she was smiling and laughing and said, "You did a really great job." So it's so hard to tell what is right and what's wrong. You just have to be, like I said before, true to yourself, stick to your guns, and just trust that you prepared for this moment and that you're confident in your answers. And the last thing is, treat this like a track race. Treat this like a game. Sometimes in the first quarter, it starts off rough. Sometimes you have a bad moment in a game. Sometimes you have a bad moment in a race, but it's important to use the different stations to build momentum. You'll feel that after your first, second, third station, you've gained some momentum now. And now it becomes like a video game where you're just taking it level by level. And some levels are easier, some levels are harder based on your skill set and based on the prompt. So it's important to just treat it like a game. All in all, to sum it up, Be sure to prepare. You've been preparing for your whole life, but be sure to practice and prepare. Be versatile in your answers. Explain things from both sides. And before giving an answer on your ethical questions, moral, scenario-based questions, there's no right or wrong answers, just a specific approach and a correct approach to these questions. So there's no right or wrong answers based on your personal decision. But know yourself and be self-aware so that you can stick to your guns. And at the end of the day, just have fun, treat it like a game. It's with different levels. Some are easier, some are harder, but overall just enjoy the experience. Thank you if you made it to the end. I hope that my experience and this video helps some of you guys out there that might be going into your MMI interviews. Good luck to everybody that's applying to medical school, whether you're taking the MCAT, applying to medical school, filling out those secondaries, wherever you are in the process. Good luck. And thank you for watching the video once again. Subscribe if you're new, like the video if you enjoy these videos. I'll be putting out weekly videos just like this every week, so come along for the journey. Good luck and let's get it.